to the Mike Miller Show.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true?
Geez, Jessica, happy life. It's been a while, man.
I know. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back, isn't it? We've been out for just a little while.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, we were talking before we came on. I mean, it seems like longer than a couple of weeks.
It does, but it's been a lot.
Yeah. So what's haps? I hate it when people say that. I guess they don't say that so much anymore. But what you been up to?
Well, I just got back from Chicago, which that was fun. Got to see a lot of stuff I haven't seen before.
What did you do up there? And you know I grew up there, so.
I went to the History Museum.
Oh,
I
love it.
went to the planetarium. I did the architecture, like river tour. That was cool.
I have not done that.
Oh man, you got to do it. It's so cool. And then I was gonna go to the Field Museum, and I just didn't have time.
I was just going to ask you if you've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to go, but I didn't.
That whole campus area is very neat.
It is beautiful. I took a picture. It was so great.
You got Soldier Field right in that area.
Yeah,
Well, that's fun, man.
it
I mean,
was. It was cool.
did you go to any nice restaurants or anything?
Yes, we went to a steakhouse next to the Hancock Building.
Which steakhouse did you go to?
It was like
Mo-
Rose something.
It was okay. So you didn't go to Morton's or anything.
No, we were gonna go to Morton's, but we wanted to go up in the Hancock Building, so we just went to a place that was near it.
Yeah. Anyway, the Windy City. By the way, I am a professional trivia expert. You know that, I think, right?
Yes.
Do you know why Chicago is referred to as the Windy City?
No.
What would you guess?
I mean, because there's wind.
Because on Lake Michigan,
Okay.
wind from the lake.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because there was a
Obviously,
lot
we're
of wind.
not having this conversation because that's true. It's
Next
called the
one.
Windy City. It got the name Windy City because at back in the day, whenever the day was, the whole city government and everything, people fighting and yelling and screaming back and forth, windy type thing. That's how it got that name.
Well, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
would have not have guessed that.
Well, and who cares? Anyway, speaking of caring, there is a whole bunch of stuff going on. A whole bunch of stuff going on. A lot of it happening here in Indianapolis, and we're going to get to that. But I think, oh gosh, just a bunch of stuff. But I think we have to talk about the most important story on the planet first.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Which one? No, I don't.
Pokemon Go.
Oh, yeah. I've never played a Pokemon game in my life, but I played this one.
It's going crazy. I mean, I saw last night people in the Holocaust Museum.
Oh, yeah, they're asking people not
Yeah,
to
Please stop playing Pokemon Go in here.
Oh my god, yeah.
I didn't know what it was because I didn't care, but
Yeah.
it's become such a phenomenon. And you look at the stock price, and you look at everything that's going on, and it's crazy. So I was actually laying in bed last night trying to go to sleep, and I got to figure. I just at least have to know what this is. I don't want to do it. I'm pretty sure because I was never a big game player, even when I was younger. And of course, when I was younger, our game. Well, never mind. But it looks pretty addictive and fascinating.
It is.
Did you
Yeah.
play it outside?
You go. Yeah, you gotta go
No, I
outside
mean,
to get
oh,
stuff.
but you can play it in your house too, can't you? Or do you have to go outside?
You can play it in your house, but it's very limiting that way because
Yeah.
you can't get the balls to catch other things.
So how
Um,
far does it have you go once you go outside?
oh, you can go, I guess, to the end of the world
I mean, did you get
because
in your car? You just walk around your neighborhood, or what? What
well,
do you do?
I went to my grandma's house yesterday and Nick was driving and I just wanted to see and there's like things everywhere where you can go and I'm like, this is really strange. Like I don't know how this works.
I do to an extent. I mean, it works via your GPS and your clock, so it knows
Yes.
what's going on. And to those of you who don't know and maybe don't care, we're going to talk about it a little bit anyway, because I find it fascinating because it's not virtual reality. You guys know what virtual reality is, right? You put the headset on or whatever, and everywhere you turn your head and look around, it like you're in that environment. But what do they call it? They call it augmented reality.
Yes, augmented reality, because it uses your camera too.
Yeah.
Which I didn't use it that way because I didn't really care. But it uses your camera, and you can be like at the store or something, and there's like, oh, there's a Pokemon in your food aisle or whatever.
So to those of you unaware, even if you care or not, we're still trying to get you to understand what a phenomenon it is. It's you're like looking at your phone, and you could be looking at the ground in your backyard, and there's a Pokemon or whatever sitting on your yard.
Yeah, and you go and you go.
You
and
throw these
catch
balls
it.
at them, right?
Yeah, you throw the ball at it and then you catch it.
To
And
bounce off the Pokemon?
it does. I'm like, this thing makes no sense, because I played it and I threw it at the thing's head, and it just bounced off the head, which it pissed it off. But like, it didn't catch it. So then, but I don't really get the whole thing of it, because at the same time, other times I throw it at its head and it catches it. So I'm like, okay, cool.
You know what I think's awesome about Japanese games? They can come up with the most ridiculous stuff that makes absolutely no sense, and people love it.
I mean, look at Super Mario. Look at that story.
Now,
How
I was hooked on
insane
all that stuff. My kids were little.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, Mario Karts. Did you ever
Oh,
play
I
Mario?
love that. Well, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying. But just the story. If you look at the story of Mario, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And all of exactly. And then, of course, they originally were called scrolling games. You know what that means? I mean,
Yeah,
remember
side-scroller.
they would just go left to right, and then
Yeah.
when they got to the point to where they could, back and forth and what. But anyway, this Pokemon Go thing is just, I mean, it's going completely crazy.
It's already making a lot of people angry. And what was it? It was there was a car accident because some dumb butt was playing it while they're
Yeah.
driving, and then other people were getting upset because people are going into their yards to catch Pokemon onto their property.
Well, and it's gone beyond upset and angry. It's gone to crime.
Oh yeah, because the people are getting robbed too.
People are
Forgot about
getting
that.
robbed. People are getting followed home and robbed.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's crazy
It's
town.
crazy.
But I want to download the app and just, but I
I put it on my tablet because I was like, I don't want that on my phone.
see. Yeah, there you
It
go.
drains your
I could
battery.
put it on the iPad.
Yeah.
But then, like, I guess, somewhat respected by my neighbors. If they see me out there like at night, walking around the iPad, like I'm looking at crap, and I'm.
He's like,
Come
Miller's
here.
finally snapped.
Yeah, come here. Look at what Miller. Look at Miller.
Yeah.
He's in the neighbor's yard. It'd be what was that movie Burbs? Remember Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher and everything?
Yeah.
It'd be like the weirdo in the neighborhood. Anyway, I thought that was the most important thing to talk about. Indianapolis, as we speak, kind of the center of the political universe as it relates to the presidential campaign.
Oh yeah, isn't Hillary in like Chicago right now?
Well, she's in Chicago.
And then there's also
Well, here's what.
Yes.
Okay, so the speculation has been that Trump, the Trumpster, has it down to three, four candidates. Newt Gingrich, Jeff Sessions, Chris Christie. There were other names talked about. Joni Ernst, the retired Democrat general whose name escapes me. He's been advising Trump on military issues. But then Mike Pence, our governor, his name entered the mix a while back, not that long ago, not at the beginning of when names started to surface. And then speculation has grown that that Pence might actually end up being the guy. In fact, there were sources, and I'm doing air quotes because sources are sources, right? Supposedly close to the Trump campaign. This goes back 4 or 5 days ago, saying that they were 95% sure that Pence was going to be the guy. Well, so as luck would have it, there was a pre-planned, and who knows how long ago, but anyway, Westfield, which is a small town, I don't know, 20 minutes north of Indianapolis. Trump had a rally there last night, and Pence introduced him. And when Trump is done talking, he says, you're going to be calling this guy. He can't say something nice about anyone without bragging about himself at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So the pretense is you're going to be calling this guy, saying we're so sick of winning, that thing, like you're winning so much, like quit winning, we're sick of winning. So he's going to be calling this guy. I don't know if you're going to be calling him governor or vice president or whatever. So, all right, so that was all that. And then so Trump was supposed to fly out. Trump always flies home and then flies to where he's going the next day.
Yes.
He can do that.
Yep.
He can. He doesn't have to worry about like how many frequent flyer miles he has or anything.
Yes, exactly.
So he doesn't leave. And initially they say, this is just hilarious, that Trump Express has a flat tire. Come on. Okay, well, fix it. Okay, so anyway, so he stays the night. He stays overnight. This morning, the Trump motorcade travels to the governor's mansion on North Meridian.
Cool.
Carrying the Donald, Melania, Ivanka, and her husband.
Interesting.
And they go in and have a conversation with the governor, Mike Pence, and his wife. And then reports surface that Newt is flown to Indianapolis, a prospective pick, and then Jeff Sessions, and also that Chris Christie had, and this was very kind of nebulous, had conversations with Trump family members, which would suggest to me that would be Don and Eric, or one of the two, presumably in New York City or Jersey. I'm guessing they would have Christie come to them. I mean, hell, he fetched pizza for the Donald on the campaign trail. So but anyway, so I mean, I would have to predict that Mike Pence is a guy.
Yeah, but it's kind of like when he was also like courting Paul Ryan. Like,
yeah, but no, I know, but just look at the logistics of the whole thing. Okay,
it is. I agree with you.
He stays here. He's not gonna stay overnight when he wasn't planning to, and take the key members of the family to the mansion and meet with the Pences, and then fly Newt in and fly Sessions in and tell either Newt or Sessions that you're it in the city of one of the other guys that was on the short list. I mean, none of that would make sense.
Yeah, that part would not make sense at all.
And then Christie, presumably, I mean, maybe they talked to him on Twitter from Jersey to New York City. But so I am going to boldly predict that Mike Pence is the guy.
That'll be interesting. I mean,
and I'm not saying that I think it's a good or bad choice because I'm, if 20 minutes from him. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what happens, and it's definitely a good pick.
Well, it is. It is in the respect, in a couple of respects, and I guess they're related. Firstly, that it would be a true conservative who is on the record as saying, his concerns are setting aside his family, Christianity, conservatism, and being a Republican, and he says in that order. So, I mean, Republicans would salivate at the pick. Now, whether that's enough, who knows how many that brings over from the Never Trump crowd, but that, in that respect, is a good pick. And then the related second point is that Trump would actually bow to that and realize it and then acquiesce to do it.
Yeah. I think that's definitely something that is a strong possibility. I know on the Democrat side, everybody's thinking that Liz Warren is going to be the way to get the.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, but they're thinking that it that would get the people that were like the big
the Bernie fans and stuff.
Yeah.
And incidentally, when Bernie finally went to his knees and endorsed her, it was a Bernie rally somewhere in the Northeast, and the way he was falling all over her, His people were walking out. They're ticked. I mean, they're as ticked off as Cruz people are, as relative
Yeah.
to the Trump thing. The Bernie, or yeah, Bernie, you're a sellout. But Bernie's doing the right thing, and the Democrats always do. The Democrats have always been better at knowing when it's time to circle the wagons and unite. And the Republicans have been much better at the circular firing squad and
Yeah.
firing inward, not outward.
And it's
But here, the other thing about Warren, I mean, she's been. I think this came out yesterday. She has been identified as the keynote speaker at the Democrat convention. So
yeah.
it's not going to be her. I initially thought it was going to be what's his name, Julio Castro or Julian Castro. Julio, I don't know.
I don't
Julio
know.
would go better with Castro, but there's a couple other names. Tim Kaine. It may be Tim Kaine, but it's not going to be. I wish it would be Pocahontas. I mean, I think that would be ideal.
That would be interesting.
Lizzie Hiawatha Warren and Hillary Pantsuit Clinton. I mean, at least when they were on stage together, they wore matching blue. So,
That's
but
true.
yeah. I also saw a poll. This is Quinnipiac, and there are other polls that suggest otherwise, but all within a margin of error. Three key swing states. This one just came out this morning. Yeah, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida, and ostensibly Florida and Ohio. Really important. In Pennsylvania, that would be a huge win for the Trumpster. But Quinnipiac has him up in all three states.
I can see
Wi-
that. Yeah.
Within the margin of error, but has him up. And I think the Democrats are worried. I still think Hillary is going to be the next president when you look at it from an electoral college perspective. But the Democrats are worried. We're all worried.
I think they are, and but I do think that's the one thing is that I think that them, basically, I thought they were gonna draw it out until after the election, like sweeping all of Hillary's stuff under the rug. But them doing that was it last week or the week
Yeah,
before?
we're going to get to that
It
too.
totally ruffled a lot of feathers, even on
Oh
the
man,
super
there's a
Democrat
lot of
side.
stuff floating around, flying around about that. We're going to probably
Yeah.
have to push that in the second hour. I have a couple of Trey Gowdy clips because we had Loretta Lynch. She makes Eric My People Holder, look good. And in fact, when her hearing was over yesterday, and we have a couple of clips in the second segment of Trey Gowdy just completely torching Loretta Lynch yesterday. But one of the reps was so ticked off that he said she makes us miss Eric Holder, and that that right there is a fairly low bar or high bar depending on which side you look at it from. So yeah, we're gonna have to get to that. I want to talk first about Barack Obama's eulogy in Dallas. Did you see anything about that?
I saw that they went and the Bushes also went, but I didn't see the speech itself.
I was thinking about a clip, but A, it would have to be too long, and B, it would tick me off as it did yesterday. So this guy is eloquent when he wants to be. He's a very good speaker. I mean, everyone knows that. I actually put up a post on Facebook as he was speaking, as he began, and he was 10, 15, whatever minutes in, about what an outstanding job he did, consoling the families and the compassion and the whole bit. This guy was, it appeared to be heartfelt. And he was being as presidential as he could be. And that is part of the deal. I mean, you go back for decades, but I remember back to, when Ronald Reagan, the Challenger explosion and down to Florida and talking with families and stuff. I mean, that's part of what a president does, right? George W. Bush with the families, the 9/11 thing and a whole bit. Obama was outstanding. So I posted that. I said, it's almost like a flying pig alert coming from me, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be damned, and I was, if he didn't then flip it into a partisan political gun control. And this is at the memorial for these slain officers. I mean, you have their pictures there. You have police officers sitting behind him. You have family. You have friends. You have colleagues. It's gun control. It's blacks are treated differently by the police. He lied, and I do mean lied. He lied about crime statistics. and it just was abhorrent. And he, you talk about snatching. He doesn't give a damn. First of all, he doesn't give a damn what conservatives or other than liberals think about him. He just does not care, and he has demonstrated that even more since he's became a lame duck president than before, and he demonstrated it pretty well then. But he's completely snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. That would have gone down, and some on the left are still in the media still referring to it as such, as perhaps the best. You hate to call it a speech, when it's a eulogy, but the best speech that this guy's given, because it was just he was actually not phenomenal, but he was just really, really good. And then he completely turned it into what he always turns stuff into. And it's, you got to go back to Rahm Emanuel. Never let a good crisis go to waste. But, save it, dude. I mean, he's doing this in front of the families. This is a eulogy for these people. He's lying about statistics. Black people are more likely to get shot and this and this and that. And I don't want to waste a lot of time going into this, but a brand new Harvard study, this was done by a black Harvard professor. Harvard study finds no racial bias in police shootings. And this just goes down a list with blacks, then with whites, blah, blah, blah. There are some things. Specifically, police officers are more likely to use hands, whatever that might be. Okay, this is for every 10,000 stops in New York City. With blacks, police officers, I would assume, it doesn't say white police officers, but let's even just assume it's that versus all officers. For every 10,000 stops in New York City, 2,165 blacks get their, police use their hands with them, 1,845 whites. Push to a wall, 623 blacks, 529 whites. Use handcuffs, 310 blacks, 266 whites. Draw weapons, 155, 129. And you go on down the list. Is there a bit of a discrepancy? I guess. I would suggest there are other reasons that go into that. But to listen to Black Lives Matter, to listen to Barack Obama, to have listened to Eric Holder, it's like this war on blacks by police departments across the country, and it's complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you even believe that, but it's
no,
it's just not true.
I mean, like it's like I talked about earlier. There's definitely areas where the police, you don't ever want to even talk to the police, but it doesn't matter. In my experience, it didn't matter if you were white or black or whatever color you were. It's just the culture of corruption in those
there
areas.
Are rogue cops. There are bad seeds. There are bad apples, just like there are in everything.
Yeah, and they're having power trips and stuff like that, so they take it out on certain communities. But I don't. Yeah, I've never seen it where it was just heavily on a certain racial group.
Oh, and once again, and we go back to Trayvon Martin. We can go we go back to what was the famous beer summit that Obama had to have when comments he made about Baltimore police officers roughing up a professor in his house. You Trayvon Martin, you go to Mike Brown, you just what's his name, Freddie Gray. It's always the same thing. The guy, and his name escapes me, the first one, who his girlfriend took the video of him after he was shot in the car.
Yes, it was like Xavier or something like that? I can't remember.
It's oh gosh. Anyway, everybody knows who we're talking about. Complete nonsense stuff she said. They stopped us for a taillight. They have audio of it and video of it. Both taillights were working. They didn't. They pulled them over because he looked, and it's not been proved yet, but I've seen pictures of him and pictures of the guy that knocked off the whatever. Look virtually the same. Same clothing, same cap, same everything. They said, and the audio says, we're going to pull this car over, suspect, blah, blah, blah. So they do that. Did you see the video?
I saw the video that the girl posted.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah. And then she says, she was remarkably calm. And that was what struck me most.
I thought that was a little bit
That was almost eerie.
I'm like, because you see him bleeding in the car. I'm like, I wouldn't be that calm. I'd be crazy. Yeah.
Well, and then she makes the comment about he's licensed to carry.
Yeah.
That is complete and utter nonsense. It is not true.
It isn't?
He
It
was
wasn't?
not.
Oh,
Huh?
wow. He wasn't licensed to carry?
No.
Oh,
In
wow.
fact, and I may be mixing this part up with the other guy, but I think it may even be the guy we're talking about now was actually prohibited from carrying because of past offenses. And I don't know what they are. And I know a couple of offenses, but again, I don't want to mix up the two different guys.
Yeah.
So again, you see the same pattern. You see the same pattern. You see the Mike Brown pattern. You know, there are still folks out there, and they're black and white and purple and glow in the dark and polka dot and whatever, that still are buying into this nonsense. You know, what was it? Hands raised, don't shoot, or whatever.
Yeah,
This
hands
is the
up, don't
same
shoot.
pattern, time after time after time. And all I suggest, and I think you and I talked about this stuff back in the day. I mean, let's just let due process play out. You know, let's not go all Marilyn Mosby like she did in Baltimore, overreach out of vindictiveness. She acted like a black activist as opposed to a prosecutor, and she's gotten her ass handed to her every time. You know, so this is what we see. And anyway, it was a little tangent there, but Obama took what was actually an extremely moving. I even got I didn't tear up or anything, but I guess I almost got goosebumps because it was a phenomenal job. The guy almost had tears in his eyes, and he was reflective, but he had to go Barack Obama. He just had to turn it around, and now that's all. You know, other than diehard leftist liberals are talking about is how he just completely blew that thing.
Yeah, I have to hear the speech. I didn't hear it, but yes, I can totally see him doing
Yeah,
that.
look at clips from the first part and then, you know, fast forward or whatever and get to the second part. But yeah, it was just pretty incredible. I couldn't believe it. And you could see that the police officer sitting behind him,
Yeah.
how their demeanor changed.
Oh,
And
yes.
people stopped clapping. He got a couple of standing ovations at the beginning, and people stopped clapping. And it just was, man, it was just almost a surrealistic moment.
got
And I thought to myself, how could you do this? But then I thought to myself, how could you not? Because that's what you always do.
Yeah, I'm sure it got really uncomfortable at certain points. I'm sure.
It was really uncomfortable. I think we have a couple of minutes or something, don't we?
Yep.
I want to talk, I guess, in this vein. So Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn today, 24 hours after, and he was at that memorial service in Dallas, introduced in the Senate, it's called the Back to Blue Act.
Okay.
And it would make the killing of a police officer a federal crime.
Mm,
And you know what that would allow?
the FBI.
Just they could, what's his name? I can never, now I can't even remember. The two brothers, the Boston Marathon.
Oh, the Tsarnaevs.
Tsarnaevs, okay. Massachusetts does not have capital punishment, right?
Okay.
It doesn't.
Yeah. No, I know.
And they charge him with a federal crime. Federal law supersedes state law, and he was given the death penalty. So what this would do, again, it's the Back the Blue Act. Would death penalty could be applied to any state in the country. There are 19 states, by the way, without the death penalty in the country.
Yes.
So this would do that, and it would have a mandatory minimum sentence in a federal prison of 30 years and all the way to the death penalty. It also, which is cool, it will expand self-defense rights. I do not know what those are of police officers in terms of protecting themselves. This covers, by the way, federal judges and public safety officers as well. So now we know what's going to happen. The left is going to go crazy, and the anti-capital punishment people are going to go crazy, and we're going to see what's going to happen. But it's a good time for this. What else is a good time is the fact that we're already out of the first half hour. It's a good time for me to say, we'll be right back. Do not go away. We got some stuff. You got to come back and listen to Gowdy, Skewer, Lynch. We'll be right back.
Will I be a good man? Will I be true? True to myself.
Doug, I never thought I could go back to school, but when it's this easy, it fits.
I'm right there with you, Jackie, taking classes, watching lectures in the living room on the iPad. It's not hard.
I can be a mom, make dinner, get my classwork done, and not miss a moment with my family. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Jackie Velasquez, and if Doug and I can do this, you can do this too. Higher education with Liberty University Online.
Find out more about completing your college degree at the world's largest Christian university, Liberty University. Get all the details right now. Grab your cell and dial pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword Liberty University.
Training champions for Christ since 1971, Liberty University Online. Find out more about learning online. Dial pound 250, then say the keyword Liberty University.
Liberty University Online with hundreds of degree programs to choose from. Call now, pound 250. Say the keyword Liberty University.
That's pound 250, say keyword Liberty University.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Welcome back. Man, that first half hour flew by. I want to, I don't know if I'm going to read the whole thing. Probably Rule 101 on the radio. Well, there's probably rules that we shouldn't even say out loud. But one of them is, like, you don't just read stuff on the radio. But this Black Lives Matter stuff driving me crazy. Because, again, either Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, do Purple Lives Matter, and, glow-in-the-dark lives matter. But Life Zet, which is Laura Ingraham, I think some of you probably know who Laura is, someone I used to respect until she got in the tank for Trump, fighting for, obviously, space with Ann Coulter and Sean Hannity and Eric Bolling and, to an extent, Bill O'Reilly and that whole crew, Greta. But someone who works for Laura at Life Zet, her name's Meredith Whitmore, wrote an open letter, Dear Celebrities Who Support Black Lives Matter. I want to get into this a little bit because it speaks to the whole deal. So I'll see if I paraphrase or not. But she says, Dear Beyonce and Snoop Dogg and Stevie Wonder and all the celebrities who've supported Black Lives Matter since the string of tragic civilian and police officer shootings last week. Notice she included both. Your sway on our culture is immeasurable. You have tried to use that influence for what you believe is good. Thank you for attempting to make the world better, even if we sometimes disagree on the terms of what better means. We address you with We address you with concern. Okay. Empathy in a spirit of reconciliation. Lately, what you have said regarding Black Lives Matter deserves more analysis than you have apparently given it. And then she quotes these people. Stevie, you've said, quote, Black Lives Matter because we are the original people of the world. That sounds like Calypso Louis Farrakhan. Beyonce, you've said, quote, we're, and supposedly Black Lives Matter, but we're going to stand up as a community and fight against anyone who believes that murder or any violent action by those who are sworn to protect us should consistently go unpunished. Don't like me any Beyonce. Snoop, you said at a recent Black Lives Matter rally, and I like this because she uses Snoop talk. We here to show support for these police officers and try to get some dialogue with them so that way when they hit the streets, they know that we just like them. We can communicate. And she says, great, let's communicate. We'll start with what we all agree on. First, Black Lives Matter, unequivocally. The violent terror that some people, primarily black people, statistics show, endure in the inner city is appalling and absolutely must be addressed. Second, there have been horrific shootings involving white police officers and black men. And then she gives a couple examples. But this is likely where our agreement ends, and we hope you'll hear us out. The art of civil discourse includes considering each side of an issue, even if we disagree. And I would argue, Jessica, till the cows come home, that conservatives tend to, I'm not talking about the Trump-a-loompa end of the thing, but I think conservatives listen better than do liberals. Do you agree? Because you tell me about your interactions with your friends.
I can see that, yeah, because I feel like as conservative people, they're more willing to have a conversation, whereas like if you don't agree with more liberal people, some more liberal people, it's just an argument that goes in circles.
Well, and you know why? Because I think that most of us that are fairly intelligent on the right, when we support lower taxes or when we support free markets or when we don't support government-run and or ultimately government-controlled health insurance, I think we feel fairly confident, even if we're not always right, we feel fairly confident that we're backed by facts and statistics and history. Whereas liberalism, by and large, is built on emotion. It's built on how the world ought to be, and things that they wish were true that just aren't. I mean, you can go back to LBJ and the Great Society over 50 years ago, and the trillions and trillions of dollars later. How'd that all work out? How'd that all work out with the black nuclear family? How'd that all work out in urban America? How'd that all work out as it relates to drugs and kids born to teenage mothers without a husband and stuff. But anyway, I think that's kind of at the core of that. But anyway, so she says that's likely where our agreement ends. We have some statistics for you, kind of dovetailing with what I was talking about with the Harvard study. And here are some of them. Fewer than 400 people a year are killed by cops, and 61% of them are white. 90% of murdered blacks are murdered by other blacks. And there was Laura Ingraham on Monday night. Laura Ingraham, I got her on my brain. Megyn Kelly on Monday night on the Kelly File had a panel, and it was ostensibly, it was a bunch of people from conservatives, and by conservatives, there were a couple of black conservative pastors all the way to like white liberals like Chris Hahn and everywhere in between. But it was ostensibly about police shootings, and then it got on the Black Lives Matter issue and things that Rudy Giuliani said. And the thing it went ballistic. But a black pastor made this point, and again, it dovetails with this bullet point. 90% of murdered blacks are murdered by other blacks. He said Black lives matter to most blacks only when those lives are taken by white people.
Yeah.
And yeah, where are the marches and the protests and the blocking the intersections on the south side of Chicago? Mm-hmm. Where's Barack Obama? Where was Eric Holder? Where's just go down the list, right? Where's Louis Farrakhan? Where's the Black Panther Party? Where's Al Sharpton? Where the hell are those people then?
Yeah.
And why are they not there? They have to know. Most of these people aren't stupid, but this doesn't fit the narrative. See, that's their problem. That's the problem. 90% of murdered blacks are murdered by other blacks. Next point, a police officer is 18.5 times more likely to be killed by a black male than an unarmed black male likely to be killed by a police officer. Next, black males have comprised 40% of officer killings in the last decade, even though they make up 6% of that population. 4% of all black homicide victims are killed by police officers. More than 6,000 blacks are murdered each year. Even though blacks are only 13% of the population, they are dying at a rate more than 8 times that of whites and Hispanics combined. I could go on and on. She's got a bunch of statistics here. And you know what the left does when they hear this? I'm a racist.
Cherry
right?
pick and you're racist.
Oh, I'm a racist because I'm using this, and yeah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Due process doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. Reality doesn't matter. No due process, so jump to a conclusion that fits the narrative, and let's kill 5 police officers in Dallas. That's a bit of hyperbole there at the end, but no, none of it matters. Black lives matter, but facts don't matter. Reality doesn't matter. The truth does not matter because it does not fit the narrative.
Yeah, it's all about the perception and the feeling.
Yeah, and the perception, I mean, kind of normal, logical perception would be based on observing reality and then having a perception of it. That level of perception is built on the emotion and the narrative of white people are inherently racist. I mean, they tell us all the time. And when I say I mean white people tell us. Because you're white, and white people tell us, because you're white, you may not even know it, but you're a racist.
Yeah, but which to me, that in itself is a racist statement. I mean, so
of course it is.
All white people, I mean, aren't you not generalizing there? It's crazy.
The definition of racism, right? Making judgments, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have it in front of me, it's very simple, about people based solely on their race. And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. Like, it's so insane to me. I feel like there's racism everywhere, and anyone can be a racist.
I mean, do you know, I don't want to say his name. It's not his real name anyway, but my black friend on he shows up on the thread quite a bit, on my threads quite a bit, and he's actually been on our old show. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
I don't know if you, of late, I just shut him down. I just get, dude, I'm over it. I've been in too many circular debates with you, and I'm not going to do it. I don't accept your your premise. I'm done. That's the last thing I said to him. He goes, fine with me. So like he'll jump on something, but no, it doesn't make any difference. And he is inherently racist because he looks at everything, and he's just, I'm not picking on him. He's just an example, looks at everything through that prism of skin color.
Yeah, and that's weird. I mean, I never grew up that way, and I just don't understand this.
I don't either. I don't either. And man, if you come back at him, then you're racist. You look at everything, Miller. You look at everything through race. It just makes you want to shake your head. And this was supposed to be the transformative president, and he's definitely transformed race relations in this country. And I'm not. I mean, don't misunderstand. I'm not blaming him for everything that's going on, but he certainly was in a unique position to be able to do what he started to do yesterday in Dallas, but do it irrespective of color. And he's not. And, when he's some of his highlights, and we could take the rest of this show and Friday to go through stuff like, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon, and all that kind of stuff. And he has exacerbated stuff. I don't blame him for, calling up Malik Zulu Shabazz and what's his face, D. Ray McKesson and all those morons. Hey, you guys got to get out there and stoke the flames. But he certainly has, I hold him at least responsible for not doing what he could have done. But man, it's a mess, and it's going to get worse. This is going to be a long, hot summer, and I tell you what, Cleveland's going to be kind of scary.
Yeah, it is.
Let me give you an example how.
Sure.
I wrote this yesterday. By the way, anyone new to the show, I'm an editor with Independent Journal Review. Yeah, we're going to get to those. We'll get to those next. That's my real job. But New Black Panther Party, this is my headline, Jessica. New Black Panther Party vows open carry of firearms in Cleveland during GOP convention.
Yeah, I read. That's why I heard something about that. I don't know if it was a post that I saw you post or what, but
it's been flying around there. So no, I put it up too. But and this guy Hashim Nzinga or whatever. He's chairman of the new Black Panther Party. Incidentally, the old, like, real Black Panthers, Bobby Seale and those guys, they've, I think, even sued these people to try to get them to quit using that name, but they're still using it. So this guy said, quote, if it is an open carry state, we will, and it is, by the way, Ohio is an open carry state, we will exercise our Second Amendment rights. This part kills me because there are other groups threatening to be there that are threatening to do harm to us. These are people who've vowed to kill white people for years, right? Mm-hmm. So they're worried about people threatening them. And as luck would have it, there are other groups who have already said that they will be carrying. There are pro-Trump groups. There are various groups. The Ohio state officials have already said, just before this came up, that it's legal. I mean, how can we stop them? I'm not suggesting there's going to be a gun battle in the streets of Cleveland outside the convention center. But I mean, what could possibly go wrong here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know.
It's not a recipe. It's not a very good recipe.
No, this is not like, you know, having armed law enforcement officers around to keep the peace. This is just not going to happen. So, all right, let's completely switch gears here because this just drove me crazy. Okay, so we had. Let me do this part kind of quickly. These clips are short, but. So Ed Comey finally come out with the FBI decision, and as he's talking, he's laying out a perfect case for why Hillary Clinton should be indicted.
Well, it's exactly what happened with John Roberts, yeah.
Yeah, just exactly. As if Roberts had written that's exactly right. We talked about it at the time, as if he had written the majority opinion to screw Obamacare. But anyway, so yeah, he completely lays out, I mean, gives example after example, right? I mean, extreme carelessness, refused, by the way, as did Loretta Lynch, to tell folks in the know, can you please share with me how extreme carelessness is different from gross negligence, which is a legal term.
Yeah.
Wouldn't answer the question. So anyway, so he does not recommend the indictment. We already had her say, which is completely just bizarre, before his announcement that she will abide by whatever the FBI recommends, right? Well, then why the hell do we need you?
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to review the report, then, and you're just going to say you're going to. So then we have her hook up with Bubba Gump Clinton on her plane for 39 minutes.
Yeah.
That Saturday, well, we just talked about his kids and stuff. For 39 minutes, really? He missed or delayed his flight because he knew she was coming in. And then that was like Saturday, and then either Monday or Tuesday, she comes out and no charges from the Justice Department based on no recommendation from the FBI. She yesterday gets her Heine invited to the House Judiciary Committee, where she proved exactly who and what she is. If I were her, I would have just not even shown up rather than do what she did, which was answer nothing. It was just, you talk about arrogance and you talk about just a personification of there's one set of rules for the high and mighty, in this case, as long as they're Democrats, and another one for the little people, right? Mm-hmm. We have two, we put these up on IJR yesterday. Oh my God. I just love Trey Gowdy. Do you ever watch Forensic Files, by the way?
I do.
Did you ever see him when they're in South Carolina and he's the prosecutor?
I know I've seen a few, but I don't.
Yeah, so he's there's some with him in him when he's a prosecutor in South Carolina. Maybe I don't know what city, doesn't make any difference. Trey Gowdy is a brilliant prosecutor. So let's listen. Can you do them back to back?
Yeah.
Would there be,
yeah.
Okay. So listen to just a couple of clips from, and this is after some other people had skewered Lynch, but nowhere near as well as Mr. Gowdy torched her. Let's listen.
Recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Gowdy, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Attorney General, the central issue to me is this perception, frankly rooted in some realities of a dual-track or two-tiered justice system. And I know that you have dedicated your career to the pursuit of justice. I know you work for a blindfolded woman who's holding nothing but a set of scales. And I think it's important that she's blindfolded because she shouldn't see the race, the gender, the socioeconomic status, the fame or lack of fame of the person in front of her. And I'm sure you've experienced it like some of the rest of us. It's not just the suspect or the target or the defendant. The witnesses have to have confidence in the justice system. The jurors have to have confidence in the justice system. The public has to have confidence in the justice system. So this dual track, different set of rules for certain people than for others. It frankly should not matter whether you are running for president or running late to a kid's ball game. The same rules ought to apply to everyone. So let me ask you this. Why do you think it's important to use official email to conduct official business?
I believe it's important to do that. I think that certainly every department has chosen to craft the way in which they carry out their business, and it provides for a way of doing business in a secure system.
So you use official email to conduct official business?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And do you ever email, send or receive classified information on personal email?
I do not.
I doubt you even use your USDOJ.gov account to send classified information, do you?
We have separate systems.
Right.
So there would be a separate
classified system
for that.
Right. So not only do you not use personal email to do it, you don't even use your USDOJ.gov. You have a separate, dedicated system to handle classified information. Why?
We have a separate system to handle the security needs.
But my question is why? Why is it important enough to you to not use personal email to conduct public business and to use a separate, more safely guarded system when you do handle classified information?
That is the practice that I've certainly always followed. It
But
allows
it's not
for the
just
protection.
it's not just a personal preference, is
No,
it?
it allows for the protection of the information, both on a regular, still sensitive, law enforcement types of matters, and then a classified system for separately classified information. In this case or any other, be free to provide confidential analysis, discussion, without the input of any
With all due
kind
respect,
of
Madam
political
Attorney General,
influence.
you can do all of what you just described and still tell the people what element. I mean, the elements of a criminal offense are public, so there's no secret there. And for you to go through the elements and say, as Director Comey did, he said there was no specific intent. I'm out of time, but I suspect you have prosecuted reckless homicide cases, haven't you?
In the context of violent crime.
How about involuntary manslaughter?
For the department or personally?
No, just as a prosecutor. There's
My
involuntary
crimes
manslaughter.
have involved
There's reckless homicide.
homicide.
There's felony DUI where you really didn't mean to hurt anybody. You really didn't, but you did. And this lack of specific intent is not a defense in any of those cases. So I think the public would like to know how you determined she did not have the intent to break the law and why you are applying a specific intent requirement here when you don't even do it in certain homicide cases.
Well, Congressman, as I've said, I think you've mentioned a number of state cases there. But as I've said, the reason why I am not going into the discussion I had and providing that particular level of information, although the FBI director did choose to do so, is that the information the team provides to me on this or any other case has to be given in a zone of confidentiality so that they can be clear and sure that there's never a political overtone to their decisions, nor will I apply one in accepting their decisions. That's why we have taken the unusual steps of providing greater information, as frustrating as that has been for a number of people to have additional information. That's why I took the unusual step of clarifying my role in this investigation.
Well, I'm out of time. The only thing I find frustrating is that even after this and Director Comey, people still believe that if you are famous, there's a different set of rules than if people don't know your name. And I think you're missing a wonderful opportunity to say with specificity which evidentiary element you found lacking. So Congress can go fix the statute if you think we need to, but right now, we have no idea whether or not a President Lynch could do exactly what Secretary Clinton did, or whether President Clinton could do exactly what Secretary Clinton did And I think that lack of clarity is bad for the republic, quite frankly.
Again, he's brilliant because, you know, the kind of 101 of a prosecutor is you never ask a question that A, you don't already know the answer to, or B, you know how they have to answer themselves, right? And and there were other guys. I mean, Jim Jordan just I thought he was going to leap over the the dais or the panel or whatever and strangle her. And it just Chaffetz, she would answer nothing. Well, I defer to, or I refer to, or it was. I tell you what, I mean, and again, they don't care because, you know, they being the liberal elites, they don't care. But she completely damaged her reputation with people that do care. And I don't mean just conservatives who are ticked off because Hillary didn't get indicted. Speaking of which, the House has now formally requested from the DOJ, specifically a U.S. attorney in the D.C. office, that they open an investigation and review Hillary as it relates to her testimony before Congress and whether she perjured herself. And if you listen to Comey's testimony, she did, because he, again, as we said when we started talking about this, he went down the line of things that she said that weren't true. And in fact, he was specifically asked, was this true? No, that was not true. And she was under oath, Jessica. She perjured herself. I mean, that's what Bill Clinton didn't get impeached and didn't get his Arkansas. He was not kicked out of the bar in Arkansas for messing up Monica Lewinsky's blue dress. He got in trouble for lying about it.
Yep. And there's still people to this day that are like, oh, it's because he had an affair. And I'm like, no, that's not what happened.
No, it's not at all. And you know, the Republican witch hunt. Hillary said as much. Yeah. Remember the vast right-wing conspiracy. Mm-hmm. So that's what they call this.
Yep.
My wife is a diehard Hillary fan. And she was asking me last night, she goes, how can she get away with this stuff? And she loves her. Mm-hmm. And it's just incredulous. It's incredulous to me.
It is, especially, you know, that's why I said, I think that what they thought they were accomplishing, maybe they think that getting rid of this right now will help them better in a few months. But I think it actually hurt them because everybody was expecting this to happen.
They have to be in on it. Barack Obama said last fall, I think, or early this year, that there's no intent. She did not compromise national security. He ticked off 2 or 3 things, virtually identical to what both Comey and Lynch said. And then you have probably Bill Clinton hooking up with him. And you know me, I'm not a conspiracist, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we got everything buttoned down, right? We're good to go. I mean, is that really outside the realm of rational possible thought? I think not. I think not. And I think to your point, okay, let's get it out of the way, or should we wait? Or I think they think it doesn't matter. I mean, it's clear to me that they don't think it matters. That because people are going to vote for her that are Hillary fans. It's just like to an extent like Trump fan, right? Doesn't matter how many times Trump changes his mind, contradicts himself in the same sentence from abortion to taxes to whatever. They're going to vote for him anyway. That was true with Obama. And it's true with Hillary Clinton. So I think that's kind of where
I think that they were more worried about it when they saw how much support Bernie was getting.
Well, that part is true.
So I do think they were a little bit worried about it. I think they thought that it would be a non-issue by now anyways, which is why I think that they rushed to close it up, basically.
Look, and you're probably right. We're under a minute here. But the Clintons are masterful at playing a chess game to their favor. Mm-hmm. And let me do metaphors here when the deck is stacked against them. I mean, they are masters at that stuff. Who was it? Darrell Hammond asked Clinton on Saturday Night Live, Mr. President, how can you get away with all this stuff? Bulletproof. That's what it is. So anyway, there's other stuff to get to that we don't have time. One of them I was going to tear you up a little bit about transgender person arrested for taking pictures of a woman in a Target dressing room. I told you that would happen, and it has. We will be back on Friday, though, you guys. We're going to be regularly here now. We went through some stuff. Jessica was out and that kind of stuff. But we're going to be back. I'm going to have Matthew Burke as a guest. And thanks for listening. As I say all the time, tell your friends, and we appreciate it. So until Friday, we'll see you. This is Mike Miller and Jessica Jane.